Zero chance to blink. Stop. Because what happened at 5:17 a.m. was not just an attack. It was a coordinated attempt to overwhelm and destroy a $13 billion warship in under 2 minutes. As 100,000 tons of nuclear-powered American steel thundered through the pre-dawn darkness, the tactical display suddenly turned red with 60 converging tracks. This wasn't a provocation, it was a calculated tactical extinction event, designed to decapitate U.S. naval supremacy in under 2 minutes. But what Tehran didn't account for was a 94-second automated execution that would leave their elite fleet in absolute obliteration. This is the declassified story of the morning the world almost changed forever. At 5:17 a.m., the radar changes in an instant. 60 contacts appear out of nowhere, all accelerating, all converging. This is no anomaly. This is a kill pattern. The next second, 60 distinct tracks materialized, all accelerating hard, all converging on the carrier like wolves closing on prey. His hands flew across the console before his mind could fully process the nightmare unfolding in real time. The general alarm was already screaming through the Combat Information Center when he shouted the warning. Inside that nerve center, the atmosphere shifted in an instant from routine watch to something far colder and more lethal than panic. Trained sailors moved with icy precision, the kind of focused stillness that only comes when the nightmare scenario, rehearsed 1,000 times, suddenly becomes brutally real. Officers locked onto stations, while petty officers tagged contacts at lightning speed. 60 glowing tracks filled the tactical display, every single one moving fast, every single one driving relentlessly toward the American formation, and not one of them answering a single hail. This is the moment Iran loses control of the attack. These were no fishing boats or innocent patrol craft. Each vessel was expendable. Each crew hand-picked and utterly committed, every hull packed with rockets, heavy machine guns, and the burning determination of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard to strike a blow against American naval supremacy in their own backyard. What unfolds in the next 9 minutes pushes every system, every decision, and every second to the absolute limit before collapsing into just 94 seconds of total chaos. This is the full story of Iran's daring swarm assault on the USS Abraham Lincoln. Did Iran just expose a real weakness in U.S. naval dominance? Or did this attack prove that no swarm can ever break layered American defenses? At 5:17, the first radar ping registered slightly off the kind of subtle anomaly a tired operator might dismiss as background clutter. Small contacts scattered, moving at speeds that initially blended with the thousands of Dow's tankers and patrol vessels that thread this narrow 21-mile-wide corridor every week. 20% of the world's petroleum supply squeezes through the Strait of Hormuz, a fact Iran has studied for decades as the ultimate geographic weapon. Speed, swarm, overwhelm. That was the doctrine. And on this morning, the Revolutionary Guard executed it with terrifying commitment. Within 40 seconds, everything changes. The room goes from routine to full combat mode. No hesitation, no second chances. The realization hit like a hammer. This was not noise. This was coordinated intent. 60 fast-moving contacts had appeared on the tactical display, accelerating on converging vectors, and they were not stopping for anyone. The Abraham Lincoln was transiting southward, protected by its full strike group. 2 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers positioned at standoff range, a Cyclone-class patrol craft running close interference, and an integrated network of sensors and weapons sharing data in real time across miles of ocean. When the Lincoln's radars lit up with 60 contacts, every ship in the formation saw the same lethal picture simultaneously. The math changed instantly. This was no demonstration. This was a full-scale swarm commitment, and the Iranian boats were coming organized, coming fast, and coming straight for the crown jewel of American sea power. By 5:18 at 18 nautical miles, the contacts still looked manageable on paper, but the tactical action officer already felt the pressure building. MH-60R Seahawk helicopters began spinning up on the flight deck, while destroyers brought every weapon system to immediate readiness. Decisions raced through the network about engagement ranges and priority sequencing. At 5:19 at 12 miles, the Iranian formation executed a textbook split, dividing into 3 separate attacking elements that peeled away and angled simultaneously toward different ships in the group. It was a masterstroke of swarm tactics designed to fracture the defenders' attention, create multiple, simultaneous crises, and force the Americans to choose between threats they could not possibly neutralize all at once. Some boats visibly mounted rocket launchers, others carried heavy machine guns on reinforced mounts. Lead elements were now pushing past 70 knots, hulls skimming the water-white spray, rooster tailing behind them in the first light of dawn. Inside the Lincoln's Combat Information Center, petty officers tagged contacts faster than they could speak them aloud. Officers verified threat vectors, while every ship in the strike group tracked exactly where each Iranian boat was headed and precisely when it would enter lethal range. 7 minutes. That's all the time they have. After that, impact is unavoidable. What happens next changes the outcome completely. What the Iranian commanders had not fully anticipated was the layered American sky response. At 5:21, the MH-60R Seahawks climbed to 1,500 feet and fanned out, giving their crews an unmatched overhead view that no boat-level sensor could match. At 5:21, the helicopters lift off because from this moment, every second decides survival. From that altitude, the geometric tightening of the Iranian formation was unmistakable. Lead boats were now accelerating past 75 knots, some of the newer Siraj-class variants demonstrating speeds that exceeded previous intelligence estimates. The Iranians were pushing their vessels to the absolute limit, crews leaning into the throttle with the kind of fearless resolve that only comes from absolute belief in the mission. If you were in command, would you call this a bold strategic breakthrough or a mission that was doomed from the very first second? Then at 5:22, the sound of the battle changed forever. A deep, distinctive turbofan roar descended from altitude and flattened into a sustained predatory note as the A-10 Thunderbolt II aircraft dropped toward the wave tops. This was no sleek carrier jet. This was a flying tank built around one purpose: destruction. The GAU-8 Avenger rotary cannon in its nose could hurl 30mm rounds at nearly 70 per second, and the entire aircraft had been engineered around that devastating weapon. The low-frequency mechanical snarl arrived before any other warning, a sound the ocean itself seemed unable to absorb. At 5:23, the A-10 fires, and in seconds the first boat is erased from existence. No warning, no survival, 30mm rounds traveling at nearly a kilometer per second tore through fiberglass engines and fuel in a blinding sequence of explosions visible for miles. The boats immediately behind scattered on pure instinct left and right, and that single moment of self-preservation shattered the geometric coherence the entire swarm depended upon. A coordinated mass attack requires every element to converge at once. The moment boats began dodging each other instead of pressing forward, the assault fractured into isolated threats. And isolated threats are exactly what American layered defenses destroy one by one with ruthless efficiency. A second A-10 pass followed within seconds, stitching a lethal line of cannon fire across the water and intersecting 2 more boats in rapid succession. One lost power instantly and coasted to a smoking halt, trailing thick fuel slicks. The other veered hard and pushed its engines to the maximum, only to fly straight into the tracking solution of a Seahawk helicopter hovering at altitude. CIWS. The door gunner squeezed the trigger, and 7.6 2mm tracer rounds walked across the waves until they hammered the engine block. The boat wallowed, stopped, and began drifting helplessly. 3 boats destroyed in the opening moments, 57 still driving forward with incredible determination. At 5:24, the Cyclone-class patrol craft joined the fight, its Mk-38 Bushmaster chain gun acquiring targets at 2,200 yards. 25mm high explosive rounds spat out at 200 per minute. The first burst bracketed a fleeing boat, sending towering geysers of water skyward. The gunner corrected, and the second burst struck home, stopping 2 more Iranian craft cold. Crews were seen abandoning ship, orange life vests dotting the dark water. Yet one lone Iranian boat somehow held its course through the entire gauntlet of fire, through A-10 passes, helicopter strikes, and chain gun barrages. It kept accelerating, still closing, still defiant. When it crossed inside 1,500 yards, the Phalanx close-in weapon system on a nearby destroyer rotated with mechanical precision. Radar-locked fire control computer confirmed, and the 6-barrel Gatling spun up before any human hand could intervene. 75 rounds per second for less than 4 seconds, and the target is completely gone. Nothing left to hit. The Iranian boat simply ceased to exist as a coherent object vaporized in a storm of metal. At 5:25, the remaining boats halted not in panic, but in a stunned collective pause. Engines idled as crews processed the carnage that had unfolded around them in roughly 90 seconds of unrelenting violence. Then one by one, and in small, disciplined groups, they turned north at cruise speed and withdrew. The retreat was deliberate, professional, and in many ways more chilling than blind flight would have been. These Revolutionary Guard sailors had just executed one of the most daring swarm attacks in modern naval history, forcing the mightiest American carrier group to reveal every layer of its defense in a desperate 94-second stand. The Abraham Lincoln never altered course by a single degree, never reduced speed, never treated the assault as anything more than a momentary inconvenience to its mission. $13 billion of American naval power continued sailing through the Strait of Hormuz, as if 60 fast attack boats charging at combat speed had barely registered. On the flight deck, the A-10s climbed back to altitude while the Seahawks resumed patrol. Across the tactical networks, analysts were already dissecting every radar emission, every acoustic signature, every split-second timing of the Iranian maneuver. The newer fast attack variants had shown speeds that surprised intelligence. The use of commercial shipping as terrain masking on approach had been noted and cataloged. All of it fed instantly into future planning. What if just a few more boats had made it through? Would this have changed the balance of power in the Strait of Hormuz overnight? Yet the real story was the breathtaking courage of those Iranian crews who dared to challenge the world's most powerful carrier with nothing but speed numbers and unbreakable will. They had exposed the vulnerabilities of even the most advanced layered defenses, forced the Americans to expend precious ammunition and reveal their full tactical playbook, and proved once again that in the confined waters of the Strait of Hormuz, sheer audacity can shake the foundations of superpower naval dominance. The cost to Iran was fuel, several boats destroyed or disabled, and the exposure of doctrine, but the message sent around the globe was priceless. No American warship sails these waters unchallenged. Was this a bold strategic breakthrough? Or a failed gamble that never stood a real chance? Tell me your opinion below, because this debate is far from over. Was this Iranian swarm attack a masterclass in asymmetric naval warfare that proved small, fast-committed forces can humble even a nuclear-powered supercarrier? Or did it reveal the unbreakable strength of American layered defenses? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now, because the debate is exploding and we read every single one. By 600, the crews of the disabled boats had been recovered from the water under international maritime protocol. They carried home a lesson no war game had ever fully prepared them for: the sound of that A-10, descending the unforgettable BRRT of the GAU-8, tearing boats apart in seconds, the cold mechanical certainty of the Phalanx engaging without a single human voice. They had watched the carrier sail straight through the fire as though the attack were nothing more than a routine weather deviation. Some lessons burned themselves into the soul in a single morning. At 6:43, the Strait of Hormuz remained open, the oil kept flowing, and the world's most critical waterway continued its business. Yet somewhere north of Hormuz, those surviving Iranian crews limped home carrying more than just battle damage. They carried the knowledge that they had dared the impossible, that 60 boats had charged the most powerful naval formation on Earth, and that in 94 seconds of pure, concentrated violence, they had written a new chapter in the eternal story of defiance on the high seas. The Abraham Lincoln's crew sat down to breakfast on schedule. Training resumed that afternoon, and dinner was served at the usual hour. But the message from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard had been delivered in fire and courage for the entire world to see. The battles at sea are intensifying. The stakes are rising higher every single day, and we will be right here bringing you the next jaw-dropping update the moment it breaks. Click subscribe now. Don't miss a single moment of this historic journey. Your time is valuable. We promise analyses as sharp as reality itself. Stay vigilant, stay informed. We'll see you in the next video. Disclaimer: this video contains content generated or supported in whole or in part by artificial intelligence. This material is intended solely for simulation, illustration, and entertainment purposes. It does not represent real-world events, nor does it constitute political or military advice or verified information. Certain elements may be fictional, dramatized, or inaccurate. Viewers should not rely on this video as a credible source of information or as a basis for real-world decision-making.